I've been asked to comment on the cry of peace and security mentioned in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. And I've come to the conclusion that there are one or two scenarios that it could fit, but we'll look at the context. The letter to the Thessalonians was written because they were experiencing persecution. Paul wanted them to stand firm, and to that end he gave them a few more details about the resurrection. And then in chapter 5 he says this, verse 1, "Now concerning the times and seasons, brothers, you have no need to have anything written to you, for you yourselves are fully aware that the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. While people are saying there is peace and security, sudden destruction will come upon them." Now the important thing is in verse 4, "But you are not in darkness, brothers, for that day to surprise you like a thief." So here's the first scenario. This could simply mean that people will be living an ordinary life, just as Jesus mentioned in Matthew 24, that before the days of Noah, people were eating, drinking, getting married, living an ordinary life with no thought that the flood or something ominous was coming. And the same today. People have no idea that the end of the world is coming, but we do know it's coming. Now, there's another scenario. Now, some people in Thessalonica had got hold of this idea and had begun to teach that either the Lord's coming was next week or it had already happened. So Paul had to write another letter to clarify what he had written in the first one. So in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, Paul says this, "Now concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered to her, he's saying, we ask you, brothers, not to be quickly shaken in mind or alarmed, either by a spirit or an angel maybe, or a spoken word or a letter seeming to be from us, to the effect of that the day of the Lord has already come." And then he goes on to explain why. "Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first." That's the man of lawlessness. Now, in the Greek, it calls it the apostasy. So now we know that this man of lawlessness is called the Antichrist by the Apostle John. And we know it's religious because it's an apostasy, and in verses 9 and 10 it says the coming of this lawless one is by the activity of Satan with all power, false signs and wonders. We've seen an angel, we've had a vision, we've seen this, that and the other, beyond what the scriptures have said. And it says this is all wicked deception for those who are perishing. It's what they want to believe. It's something sensational. Now we know from what the Apostle John said at the end of the 1st century that the Antichrists were already appearing then. So the Antichrists have been with us for nearly 2,000 years. And we know from the Apostle John that once again this is religious because he said they went out from us, they were not of our sort. So a different religion. Now, going back to 2 Thessalonians, in verse 8, chapter 2, it says that this one will be destroyed by Jesus Christ. Now, one of the commentaries links this to Babylon the Great. And I agree with him because it's very similar. It's religious, it's going to be destroyed. So I believe either the Antichrist is Babylon the Great or it's part of Babylon the Great and it's going to come to its end. Now when that happens, and it could be quick, then there might be a cry of peace and security. Because if there's no religion, there's no religious terrorists, there are no religious wars, we might sit back and think, oh phew, everything's all right now. But, as the Apostle Paul said in 1 Thessalonians, that when they start thinking that, then the sudden destruction is going to come. So it seems to me that these things could happen very quickly. 1, 2, 3. Babylon the Great's destroyed. We think, oh, phew, no terrorists anymore. And then the end of the world. Then the kingdom can come. I don't see any need for it to be drawn out. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, there's one other scenario that it could apply to. In the book of Daniel, we know that the king of the north is going to come to his end, and then the kingdom will come. That could be linked. But I don't think that would be the case. However, let's keep our eyes on the news and see what happens. We are awake. We're not going to be surprised like a thief in the night. We know these things are going to happen. Exactly how they're going to happen, we'll wait and see. In the meantime, we have a lovely hope in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, where it says, Jesus Christ and God our Father, who loved us, gave us eternal comfort and good hope through grace. May it comfort your hearts and establish them in every good work and word. Thank you so much for watching. And please put comments below if you don't agree or if you have anything to add to this. Be most welcome. Thank you so much. Take care and God bless.